after. Yeah, okay, we're up and running on that side, up and running on this side as well. Where is the thing? There is the thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, so this is officially, once again, good morning everybody who is here. Let me just take my rule for those who are. So Elias should be here shortly. Hopefully Amara comes today too. Ariana is here, Cassidy was first in, Elijah is here, Healy is here, Julia is here, Joshua Springer. Keisha might come a bit later. We have a couple of new students, Kerry Ann Mitchell and Sarah Precious Armstrong. I think I might see if I could WhatsApp them the link directly, I don't know. Anyhow, Liana is here, Michaeli don't come to class, she watches the replays. I think Naomi does the same thing too, right? Shekinah was supposed to be, right? Not seeing Tony, but seeing Vedika. All right, cool. Hey, somebody here, boy. Ah, Keisha, right. Hey, good morning, Keisha. How you doing? Good to have you on.
Good morning.
All right, lovely. Let me just send this to a couple of people. Cool. Okay, so links sent directly to the young ladies. Okay, right. Lovely. So what we'll do in the meantime. Hey, Gabe, what's going on, boy? Good to see you. Hey, Rena, morning. Right. Okay, folks. Good morning. So we just about 10 past 10 there. So that's a good time. All right, so last week we started our journey into process costing. We took a look at the AVCO method. Oh, hey, Sarah. Hey, good morning, Sarah. How you doing? All right, good to have you on. Okay, cool. Right, there you go. File opened. Let's ungroup those sheets and do a bit of a quick what you call it? Quick recap, right? Just to give one or two people a little more time to pop in dance, right? So yeah, Elias, she come in, Amara, Jonika, other Joshua, Kerry Ann. Not sure about Naomi, Shekinah, and Tony. Okay, cool. All right, lovely. Okay, so folks, last week we started talking about process costing. So we said this is a costing system where, and it's using production environments, which are essentially mass production environments. So not carnival, costing kind of mass, although in other words, we're making tens, scores, hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of units of the same exact thing, right? And that's what it says here, right? The units of output being created are all identical or fungible. That means they are perfectly substitutable, right? Each unit of output is indistinguishable from any other unit of output. So, like I said, mass production. So, like when you go in the grocery and you go in the aisle with the juices, you have all these dozens of juice boxes that are basically the same thing. You can pick any one and you get the same thing, right? Sorry. Right? So, the other system of costing we were exploring before this was job costing. And a job was a specifically identifiable unit of output that was separately identifiable and unique relative to any other unit of output, all right? So we had a particular costing system for there. We have a different style of costing for here, different series of things we have to do. And at the heart of it all, remember, we still only have three components of cost: direct materials, direct labor, and overheads. And as we know, direct material and direct labor tend to be a bit easy to trace and attach to units of output cost-wise, right? I mean, and again, they're called direct because those things are easily and directly traceable to units of output. Let me just let in Aaliyah and tell her good morning. Morning, Aaliyah. How are you doing? All right. Good to have you on. No worries. Just doing a quick recap of last week's work before we jump into this week's work. All right. Yeah. So with with job costing, we said one of the kind of drawbacks there was with the overheads, you had to figure out this overhead application rate or predetermined overhead rate, whatever you learned it as. And it involved taking an estimate of the total overheads for the period and dividing by the total volume of the cost driver. So we said a cost driver is literally something that drives cost up. It causes the cost of the overheads to be incurred. Overheads like electricity, internet, rent, maintenance, maybe the cafeteria cost, and any of those other things, depreciation, that are not considered to be direct costs, right? And the question was, okay, well, how can we just pick in this one item as a cost driver for all of these overhead costs, all of these indirect costs? Is that accurate? Is that correct? Is it right? So what ended up happening was that some products ended up being penalized by attaching more cost to them because they may have used more of the cost driver than other products. And certain items of cost, certain overheads were not directly related. So for example, we may have used direct labor hours as the cost driver in a department if it was labor intensive, or we may have used machine hours if it was a capital intensive production environment, or we could have used any manner of thing, but we always use one for traditional job costing. And we said, look, some of these things don't seem to be using that much overhead, so we broke up all the overheads. We itemized the overheads into activities, and we then calculated an overhead rate for each of those activities, sometimes called the activity rate. And thus, activity-based costing was born. And it proved to be a bit more accurate in costing products based on what they actually use with respect to overheads, right? So, of course, the process is a bit more involved. But again, with AI now, and of course, with all of the years of process costing knowledge, history, and experience we have, things should get a bit easier. Right, so a lot of the things that we may have had complaints about the disadvantages before may now, in the near future, or maybe even somewhat distant future, thanks to AI and its advancements, may no longer be issues, right? Because of course the computational and calculational power and the system of logic and the speed at which it happens, right? That could probably solve most things by the time we wake up in the morning and have breakfast or coffee or something, right? Anyhow. Right, so coming back to this now, so process costing, right? We had to come up, the issue with process costing was, right, we have production taking place and we're making things in what we call batches, right? So something is also called batch costing. Just one sec. Hey, Bones, what are we working on? FIFO after control systems. Right. Okay, cool, yeah, morning, how you doing? Yeah, I'm not checking my YouTube comments, I just focusing on my class. So if you ask and I don't answer, it's nothing personal. Anyhow, yeah. Yeah, guys, so with process costing, like I was saying, we're mass producing these things. So the popular kind of examples we normally talk about would be stuff like juice or milk or paint, right? Liquid things that we just kind of, we put ingredients or chemicals together depending on what the item we're making is. We mix it, it goes through like a couple of steps in the process. So you can have your mixing, you can have your quality control, you can have your finishing, or whatever the case is. You have steps in your process and costs are incurred as you go through each step. And what happens is that, you see, sometimes certain items are left incomplete. Now, we are familiar with the concept of work in process from even Form 5, right? So those are units of output that have been started into production and are not yet complete. So when the next period starts, we will probably start work on those things first before we finish the others, right? But those things will have costs attached to them, which we are familiar with. We know we've seen it in regular manufacturing accounts. We've seen it in job costing, all right? But the problem here is that we want to be able to calculate cost per unit, and trying to extract like finished goods and these things in a process costing environment has proven to be a little difficult, right? Not that I'm saying it for the how many of us time, and I'm sitting there thinking about AI, I'm like, how is it really that difficult? Because they have the physical units that they count, right? As we know, we have to basically, so long story short, because I kind of running in circles here. Long story short, we have this thing called equivalent units. And it's a way of measuring output in terms of finished units based on the percentage of work done on the unit, right? So let's say, for example, there were 4 steps in a process to make some particular product. And each of those steps had, the percentage of work done in each step was equal to any other step. So you have 4 steps, so that's a quarter of the work done in each step. Step A, step B, step C, and step D. So if let's say you have 100 units, physical units, go through all 4 stages and are 100% complete, you have 100 physical units complete, right? You also happen to have what we call 100 equivalent units, because we'll multiply the percentage complete by the physical units. So 100% by 100 units is 100 units, right? If, however, you have, let's say, 100 units, but they go through Just one step. They're only a quarter done. So what would happen is if you multiply the quarter or 25% by the 100 physical units, 25% or a quarter of 100 is 25 units, but it's 25 equivalent units. So the equivalent units basically answers the question, how many finished units could I have made if instead of working on a whole batch of units at the same time, I made one unit at a time? That's the question we're answering. And we do it because we need to be able to calculate a cost per unit. And in this environment, that's what we use, all right? Now, a couple of other assumptions, right? We assume that conversion costs, sorry, I'm trying to highlight it, right? We assume that conversion costs that are direct labor and overheads are incurred uniformly throughout the production process, right? Now, again, they're called conversion costs because they are the cost to convert raw materials into, well, work in process and ultimately finished units, all right? So the materials costs, however, are assumed to be added all at the start. We put all materials at the start. And I'm sure you're thinking, well, that mightn't be true, for in certain cases. I'm sure there are things. So in the majority of questions we will be doing, these will be the two basic assumptions. And if they ever relax those assumptions, we will know because they'll give us the percentages, right? We'll probably see that, we might see one of that today, right? And I'll point it out to you so it's not like lost in a crowd. Right, okay, so we have some steps here that I'll just kind of run through very quickly, right? So the first step, and I'll zoom in, so actually, hold on, where's the question? Where's Kingston? My bad. Past paper. Yeah, and we did check out the past papers, and there doesn't seem to be any process costing questions post 2019, which is kind of concerning, but that's just what it is. And of course, I don't expect it to try and wreck your eyeballs trying to see those things, right? Right. So again, we're not going to go through the whole question. Oh, here's Joshua. Cool. The other Joshua. All right. Hey, morning, Joshua. How you doing? Good to have you on. All right. Yeah. So we're just recapping some of this stuff from last week before we jump into this week's work, right? So you didn't miss anything. Yeah, you didn't miss anything new. All right, right. So the question we did last week was Kingstown. I think it was 2006. Yeah, it was an old question, 2006. Oh, almost 20 years old, boy. Wow. Right. So the cutting department provided the following information related to the custom computerized scoreboard for the current period. Right. So you had work in process at start. You had 1,500 units, 35% complete. Right. And you had some costs, so materials, labor, and overhead for a total of that. Right. Then you had costs incurred in the current period. Again, materials, labor, and then overhead. Right now it says determined from two above. I should actually blank that out, right? Because yeah, this was part of another question, and you had to work out the overheads in the previous part. I'm not a fan of those questions because if you make a mistake there and you bring it down, but they cater for that, right? They look at your process as opposed to the actual figures most times, right? And then you have units started in the current period, 4,800, and ending work in process, 30% complete, 1,000. Right? The cutting department uses the weighted average process costing method, and all direct materials are added at the beginning of the production process, right? So that's what they're saying here. That's the same assumption I said, but they should state it. While conversion activity occurs uniformly throughout the production process. Now, what does that mean? So just like the example I did where you had 4 steps, and each step was the same proportion of work being done, so 25% in each step. That's what it means, right? The costs are incurred evenly throughout. So if it's 4 steps, 25% in each step. If it's 2 steps, 50% in each step. If it's 5 steps, 20% in each step, etc., etc. All right? It's just a simplifying assumption for the sake of making the topic easy to approach and understand from a basic perspective before it gets more complicated, which at this level it doesn't. I gotta be careful because we still have spoilage to do. I have to double check and make sure it's on the syllabus now because I teach it. Anyhow, right, so we have some steps. The first step is to account for the physical units, right? So give me one sec. Let me actually split the screen. Right. Right, so we started off with 1,500 units, physical units at the start. Let me actually zoom in a little bit more here. Right. Yeah, so 1,500 units at the start. Oh, that's a little too much now. My bad. Yeah. And we added 4,800 into production, right? So 1,500 plus 4,800 means there are 6,300 units currently in production and for which we have to account. What does that mean? What do we mean by we have to account for those units? What we mean is that at the end of the process, whatever is in production is either going to be finished or unfinished, completed or incomplete. The completed stuff is what we call completed, and incomplete is the work in process, right? Now they tell us the ending work in process is 1,000 units, right? 30% complete, but 1,000 units, so 1,000 physical units, right? So if you had 6,300 units in production and 1,000 of them are still in process, it means the remainder, 5,300, is the units completed, right? So that was step one. You have to account for your physical units. Okay, and we had those notes here as well, right? And we had the steps. So account for physical units. Next, calculate equivalent units, right? So there's a simple multiplication of physical units by percentages, right? Now, in the case of the working, now there's an assumption with AVCO, with the weighted average method I forgot to mention, right? Even though work in process at start comes in some percent complete, what we assume under weighted average, and again it's a simplifying assumption, is that if the work in process that's brought in, any work before is ignored, and we assume that we're doing 100% of the work on it in the current period. Again, it's just a simplifying assumption for the sake of getting access to the methodology initially, and then we start to complicate matters. Because today we're doing FIFO, right? And with the FIFO method, we actually, that's the method I learned. I didn't learn weighted average until UE, and then I realized, oh, it was easier. I was real breaks in front of, like, oh, it's going to be different, it's going to be hard. And it wasn't, right? I actually prefer it now. I want to see FIFO like, FIFO. But it not, I trust me, FIFO not hard. There's one little extra step. But anyhow, I'm going to stop talking about that. Right. So, where was I? Right. So you have 5,300 units, right? So the work in process at start, although it says 35% complete, we assume it's completed 100% in the current period, right? So in step 2 now, what's going to happen is, sorry, I need to zoom out a little bit more. So 150, let's do 150 here. All right, and let's put that there. And then, right, so basically what we're seeing is to this set of stuff, we have a little extra stuff across here, right? Equivalent units, and we have to separate it into materials and conversion, right? So for the units completed, right? So completed means it's done. It means all of the work is done. That's 100% of the work. So for materials and conversion, you're going to see 100%. Now, again, just by the way, this is my layout because of how I use Excel. I want to show things explicitly for you all to know what figures I'm using, and also because I want to reference them in formulas later on, so I'm not typing over everything hard coding, right? That gets annoying, right? As a matter of fact, in one question, maybe not today, but maybe next week, I'll show you like the format I have where I just like plug in, I think, the stuff for the start and some percentages and the costs, and everything else just gets done, right? Automatically. It's actually pretty cool. Anyhow, yeah. So if it's find 100% of 5,300, sorry, no, right? You get 5,300 here and 5,300 here, right? Sachin is our boss, but we're going on a long time no see. Yeah. Now, for the working process at end, it says 30% completed. Now, again, right, it says all materials are added at the start of the process. So all means 100%. So even though the working process at end is incomplete, it's only considered incomplete with respect to conversion. Give yourself. Yeah, with respect to conversion. So the 30% only applies to the conversion, right? The materials all are added at the start of the process, which means 100% complete with respect to materials. Right, so we have the second step, which is calculate equivalent units. Next, identify the costs to be accounted for. Right, so the costs to be accounted for, I could undo the split. Right, we can see all of those costs here, right? We have, for the working process at start, we have these 3 costs, which we'll combine these 2, direct labor and factory overhead, because we want conversion, we want materials and conversion, and do the same thing for the costs incurred in the current period, right? So for step 3, right? So like I said, the columns for material and conversion will persist all the way down in my layout. And again, if you have a layout you learned already in school and you prefer to use it, you're more comfortable with it that way, by all means you do your thing. All right? Right. Okay. Yeah, so all we're doing here under the materials column, you put in, so you have work in process at start, and then the current period's cost, and then you have materials, and you have conversion. So basically, you're just kind of put the correct figure in the correct place. So with the materials figure, hold on, No, I can't do a thing. No, I can't. Oh, okay, there we go. Right. Yeah, so the materials figure for work in process at start will, of course, go there. Work in process at start, materials, right? The conversion figure will be the sum of 12,004 and 42,7. That's going to go here, right? Material, sorry, work in process conversion. For the cost incurred in the current period, right, the materials is 270. So that's this piece here, 270. And then when we add the 120 and the 480, that's 538.5, right? And then we add going across to get the totals for the costs for work in process at start and for the current period cost. And then you add down, right? So it's a kind of right to left working, all right? So again, it just takes a few times going through it to get accustomed. And of course, you add down here too. You add going down in each column. And if you add going across, you should get back the same figure here. All right, so it's a bit of a cross check. Now, the next step is actually quite easy. And we don't have much to add to the format. We have to calculate the cost per equivalent unit, right? So what we're doing there is simply dividing the materials cost by the equivalent units for materials. And it's going to look like, sorry, let me go back out to 150. Keep it a little uniform, right? Right, so materials, so what we're doing here, right, is taking the same 6,300, putting it here, and then dividing, right? And same for here. For conversion, we're taking the same 5,600 units, putting it here, and dividing. And that's going to give us the cost per equivalent unit, all right? Okay, and then the last step. So the last step to me is like the longest and a little involved, but it's not terribly difficult, right? Once you find whatever layout works for you, right? So I used to have a different layout, but I'll show you the one I use now, right? Mainly because of how I want to use it in Excel, all right? So what we do is we have the cost, what I call the cost assignment, right? Let me zoom in a bit more here. All right, so we're focusing kind of down here, but we will be pulling stuff from above, right? What we want to do is we want to find the cost of the units completed and the cost of the ending work in process using everything here, all right? We'll be focusing specifically on the cost per equivalent unit and these items on top of here, all right? So for example, for the units completed, right? So we want units completed, right? So we want to find the materials cost. So the cost per equivalent unit for materials was 55, and we're multiplying that by the number of equivalent units for materials, right? For the units completed. So 55 by 5,300 is 291.5, right? And hold on, do I have a, I do, okay, cool. Right, so we're multiplying. So $55 by 5,300 is 291.5. And for conversion, right, it was 106 multiplied by the same 53, because it's the same equivalent units for the units completed, right? So we have these two costs which we add going across. And then for work in process at end, right? So we have 1,000 units for materials, 300 for conversion, right? And the same cost per equivalent units as above, right? So 55 by the 1,000 and then 106 by the 300. And then you have 31,800, 55,000, you add going across. And when you add these two going down, we get the same cost that we got here. So we've accounted for all the costs, right? So this sheet acts as a breakdown of all the details, equivalent unit calculation, the cost identifier, the equivalent unit, the cost per equivalent unit, and then it also acts as a cross check. So after we attach the costs, right, to the two batches of inventory, the completed and incomplete, we show that the costs assigned to them add back to all the costs in the, that have been identified earlier in the process, right? Okay, so again, it seems like a lot, and it is, right? It can be, but you just have to take it step by step. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so we'll take a little breather for the brains, just to give the brains a couple seconds to rest, all right? While you're all doing that, let me just get a little water. Of course, if anybody has any questions at this point, you're very welcome to ask. At any point, you're very welcome to ask. All right? Okay, now today, we're going to be tackling the FIFO method. And the FIFO method, what it does is, okay, so you see how here we kind of lump in work in process at start with all the units and then break it apart after into two. So like you'll have two sections up here and two sections down here. The difference going forward is you're going to have three sections actually. But let me actually start doing a question. I think I gave you guys, did I give you guys Belmo Pan for homework? I think I did. Anyhow, I'll do that a bit later because yeah, I want to make sure you guys get extra practice. Anyhow, so let's put that down. We'll be using this question. Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna maximize that. Let me pull up my FIFO worksheet. Right. Now, yeah, I copied and pasted the same files. So these notes are the exact same notes as we did last week. Actually, these are from last year. All right. So they're not exactly the same notes, right? But I'll send everything today, so you could always take a read and compare. Right. But they say basically the same thing. It's nothing radically different. Okay. So I need to split my screen. So let's do that. All right. And as we scroll down, okay, so it's just that. So it's just right there. Okay. So 202, let's go down to 200 now. 2%, right? And across here, we need a 150. Yeah. All right, I'm on board with that. That's fine by me. Yeah, that's good there. All right, cool. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take a little read. So you know what? I actually do want to maximize this and zoom in a bit more so we could read it. Okay, that's way too big. Way too big. Right, okay. That's still too big. So let's just, maybe I should have said that 200. Anyhow, 250, right. All right. So this is from a textbook I used to use when I was in UE, and I still use for my CAPE classes up to this day, because I just find the questions, the layouts are pretty nice. To be honest, yeah, I don't even bother to look at most of the textbooks. I take a browse every now and again from ones that find their way here. But yeah, I guess I just stuck in my ways with more like one textbook. But the thing is, I do like there are other textbooks for other subjects that have come and that I do like in addition to the older ones I have. Just that, I don't know, I guess I'm very particular with some of my accounting stuff, or my accounting stuff specifically. Anyhow, right, Bozeman Inc. uses a FIFO process costing system to accumulate production costs. Okay. All materials are introduced at the start of the process. Sorry, okay. So the person just sent me the WhatsApp. That's perfectly fine. It's not a problem. All right. And yeah, so that's no scene. Okay, so all materials are introduced at the start of the process, right? So that's a very important point there, because what they're telling us is that with respect to materials, all units are considered to be 100% complete at start. But that's materials, right? But what they tell us about conversion costs, right? So conversion costs are incurred uniformly throughout manufacturing. So you see very early in the question, they're putting those two assumptions that to me should be always be done. Should put those two things right up at the start. But again, it's not necessary to do that, but once it's included. So always look out for those specific assumptions, because that's how we are going to learn to do the process costing worksheet, the production cost report. And if anything's different, then we may have adjustments to make, right? There was one question that asked for a process costing worksheet that we were a bit lost as to how to do, because we like, this is not the information we need, but we'll come back to that. Now, it says further that units pass directly from Bozeman's sole production department to the finished goods warehouse. So I guess not much of a process, or not many steps in the process, I don't know, right? And then the following information relates to January operations. Okay, so let's take a look here. So the beginning working process consisted of 14,000 units, 70% complete, and a review of the working process on January 31st, which is the end of the month, right, found 10,000 units, 20% complete. Okay, so we're missing some. So what they give us is the beginning and the ending working process, and they give us the physical units and the percentages complete, right? Now, in item 2, it says the production supervisor noted that 36,000 units had entered manufacturing during the month. A total of 40,000 units were completed. Okay, cool, no problem. So 36,000 was entered and 40 completed. Now, of course, 36,000 will not magically transform to 40, right? What happens is that out of the 14 at start, clearly we finished 14 of those, right? We finished all 14. Sorry, my math's not mathing in my head just now. We finished all 14. We started 36 into production. So that's 50. Oh, no, sorry. Let me not explain that. I want to actually write that out. Right, okay. But yeah, well, long story short, it means that if you take 36 and you add 14, we're going to get 50. And if you take 10 and you add 40, you also get 50, right? So that's the tie back there. That's what we would normally do under AVCO, all right? But I'll show you what to do under FIFO. And again, we'll do the same exact way like last week, step by step, piece by piece, right? Okay, and then here, the beginning working process was carried in the accounting records at a cost of 183.4, and January's manufacturing costs were materials 162, conversion 394.450. Now, please note, they do not give us a breakdown of the work in process at starts costs. They just give us the total or subtotal. They don't say how much out of it was materials and how much out of it was conversion. And that's because we're using FIFO. And what FIFO does is, unlike AVCO, weighted average, sorry, it doesn't lump the units in process at start with the rest of the production and assume all of the work done and costs incurred on the work in process that happen now in the current period, despite the fact it's work in process from a different period, right? Again, just a simplifying assumption. What this method does, FIFO, is it keeps the costs on work in process at start that came in with work in process start on it alone. So that's going to have an implication for our cost assignment, because we're going to have to show the work in process at start separate from the units started and completed in the current period, right? Okay, so again, I'm trying to over-explain without showing stuff that I'm talking about. But anyhow, hopefully I haven't lost anybody, right? If you are, please let me know and let me know how I could help. All right, so I'm just going to go up to there because that's all we need to see. And then down here now, yeah, Miss Reticent, how are you? Zooks. Maybe we could do 170. All right. So step one with the FIFO is the accounting for the physical units, right? So it was Bozeman Inc. Now you could call it a process cost and worksheet or production cost report. They mean the same thing. All right. Sorry, my bad. Right. Let's kind of put it up. Right. So I'm just going to head up here, units, right? So normally they say put physical units. So I didn't want to put all of that. I just put units. So we're going to start with the working process at start, right? If you want to put beginning working process, beginning WIP, all of that is fine, right? There's no one and only thing that is acceptable for you to write to identify that item, right? Now you started with 14,000 units, 70%. So don't worry with the percentage right now, right? So 14,000 units at start, all right? And then the units started into production, or just units started in the current period, right? That was here, right? The production supervisor noted that 36,000 units had entered manufacturing during the month, right? 36,000. So the number of units to be accounted for, sorry, one sec. Yeah. You know, sorry, today's a very good friend of mine. It's her birthday, but she now lives in the States, so like she knows my message. Okay, so 14 plus 36 is 50, right? So we start very, very similarly to actually the exact same way as we did with the AFCO, right? We start with work in process at start and unit started in the current period, right? Right. So again, like I said, there's no one right phrase that is the only thing you can write, and that is acceptable. You can write different things here. Now, we're going to account again for the physical units, right? So units. How come I skipped 2 lines? That's not. Give me 1 sec. Oh, I know why. Sorry. Right. So delete that. Delete that. All right. So units. Right. So work in process at start. Right, so unlike the weighted average method, and we just have 2 things here, units completed and incomplete, as in work in process at end, right? Work in process at start, so that is the same 14,000. Now, we're also going to have a work in process at end, right? So that stays the same, and they told us that is how many? A review of the work in process for 10,000 units, right? So we have 10,000 here, right? So what we're looking for in the middle here is the units started and completed, right? So if you can fit units started and completed in the current month, by all means do that, right? But there's no necessity to do so. Now, check it, right? The units accounted for, the physical units have to be the same as on top of here, 50. So if we add 14 and 10, we get 24. And to find the missing figure, it'll simply be that 50 minus 24. So 50 minus this and this. So that's 26. Right? So that is an item there that you're usually going to have to work out, right? So most times, right, that's how you're gonna start, right? They'll give you the working process at start and the unit started into production, and they'll give you the working process at end. And then you have to now kind of not work backwards, but you have to work out how many units were started and completed. All right. Again, we assume the working process at start was completed. And like I said, it was 40, right? And if you take 14 and you add 26, you get 40. And if they do give you this piece as in the number of units completed, you could also use that to find the units started and completed, right? Because if we know the working process at start is started into production before the others, right? It's going to be completed, right? So 14 out of 40 would be the working process at start. And the remainder that were completed would come from out of this batch here, all right? You could also say, look, if we started 36,000 and out of that 10,000 were incomplete, 10 from 36 will give us back 26, right? So you have a few different ways you could go about calculating that particular item, all right? So I'm going to maximize this and I'm going to send a picture in the chat, right? While I'm sending that picture, if you guys are good with the first step, just kindly give me a quick G in the chat. If you need me to re-explain, recalculate, anything along those lines, give me an R, right? So for Carrie Ann, who is new, or Sarah, and Sarah as well, sorry. Yeah, if you're good with that, just give me a quick G in the chat. And Ms. Retterson, give me a G. Lovely. Right. Hope Darren and CC also okay. Okay, cool. So step 1 is accounting for the physical units. So accounting for physical units. Sorry, my bad. All right. So let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 9 out of 12. So the next 3 will let me know whenever they're ready, right? And yeah, so Sarah, so you can write the stuff down as we go along. You could also just pay attention. You could take a screenshot. But I do send a PDF at the end of the class with all the notes and stuff, right? And as you can see, I send pics in the chat as well. Because I know it takes time to write down stuff, but we're trying to maximize the user time as well. So I am going to go on to the next step now. So if you didn't get the whole thing down, or anybody else, don't worry. It's already sent in the chat. You can pull it up there. But I suggest you pay attention to what I'm doing next. All right? And that's how we roll. Okay, cool. So that's step 1, right? So step 1 is accounting for physical units. Right? Step 2 is calculating the equivalent units. Right, so here is where it starts to get very different. Okay, so I am just going to copy and paste stuff I have here so far. Okay, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Right. Oh, so I need equivalent units. So I'm going to head that up here, right? So, what? Just now, huh? All right, so equivalent units. Right. And so materials. Yeah. Oh, gotta unmerge, right? And conversion. Right. So equivalent units, materials. All right. So hold on now. I'm fine with that. Okay, lovely. So let's zoom in here a little bit more so we can focus, right? So let's go back to the question, right? So the working process at start. Actually, let's go in terms of ease, right? Which we leave this for last, right? So the unit started and completed. So the percentage completed, of course, is 100%. And it is going to multiply the number of units by the percentage, right? I'm just going to lock the column, right? And the same thing for conversion. If it's completed, it's 100% complete with respect to, well, everything, materials and conversion. All right. Now, for work in process at end, so again, remember the assumption it told us was that all materials are introduced at the start of the process. So even though we have, work in process at end, which we know by nature it's incomplete, we know based on the questions information, it's complete with respect to materials. All right. So we're going to multiply 10,000 by 100%. But it's 20% complete with respect to conversion. All right, so 20%. All right, so actually let me take this out because I'm going to put that here. Right, so we're going to multiply that. Let's put this after, right. I'm going to put that here. Right. Now, for the work in process at start. Now, work in process at start refers to units that were started in a previous period but not complete and brought forward now to be completed. With respect to materials, we know that 100% of the materials were added at the start of the manufacturing process. For the work in process at start, that was the previous period. It was added in the previous period and then it was brought forward to the current period, in which we would have done no more work materials-wise. We would have added no more materials to the work in process at start. Right? Again, because all of the materials are assumed to be added at the start of the process. So all the materials were added in the previous period, and therefore 0% of materials were added now in the current period. Right? So you're going to have 0% there. Sorry, zero equivalent units there. Now, for the conversion, 70% of the units, 70% of the work on the units was completed in the previous period. So if 70% of the work on the units was completed in the previous period, and then the units were brought forward, in order to be completed, to be 100% complete, from 70%, we need how much more percent? 30%. So this here is 30%. Put that in a, whoa, hey, no, not you at all. No, give yourself. All right. And then we're just going to add going down. All right, so this was the section across here that we're doing. So it stands out some more, right? So this is the new section here, right? So again, what we're doing is we're using the percentage complete to multiply by the physical units to determine the equivalent units, right? So for the units started and completed, that's easy work is 100%. For any work in process, it's the same thing as in the previous weighted average method. It's always, once the question says it, it's 100% complete with materials at start and whatever the percentage complete they give us here for conversion. Now for this one here, I should put a whole line any kind of pink. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah, Angela, unknown girl, right? Yeah, so for the units, the work in process at start. So again, those are units started in the previous period. Some work was done, but not all. So it's, in this case, 70% complete. Now, we know all materials were added at the start of the process. They tell us that here. So all materials were added in the previous period. So none will be added now. So no materials work would need be done on the work in process that start in the current period, hence 0%. Right? The conversion costs, so they came in 70% complete, which means that to be completed, 100% complete, we need 30% more work to be done, which will be done in the current period. All right? Okay, cool. So that is the second section. Let me maximize that. So while I'm taking the pic of that section and sending to y'all, so I know I just asked about the G, but I need it again. If you guys are good with that part of it, just kindly give me a quick G in the chat. All right. If you need me to recap it, I'm happy to do so, but I'll only do so if you need me to. All right. If you think you're good with what we have so far, then great. All right. We could move forward. No. Right. I'll check the comments just now. I just send any pic. I just cropping all the edges. Yes, I know I can take a screenshot. I just kind of stuck in my ways. Okay, so I got 9 again. All right, 9 out of 12. Okay, so it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So for every 3 people who responded, 1 person did not. 75%. So it's not bad, but I would like to know how the rest of you all doing as well. All right. Sorry, one sec. Oh my god. All right, so I sent the picture, right? Okay, cool. All right, lovely. So let's go to step 3. So let's just copy and paste everything in step 2 into step 3. And what we're working on now are the costs. Yeah, this one here. Right, so the costs. Okay, so let's take out some of the highlighting stuff going on here. So when I do highlight things, it'll stand out in that particular pick. All right, so, okay, hold on. I could pull that out. Could I not? Yes, I could. No. That'll work. Right, lovely. Okay, so we have to do costs. Right, so the headings here, materials and conversion, will persist downwards. All right, I'm just gonna put dollar signs again here, so I'm just gonna copy and paste that. Lovely. Okay, so we have the working process at start. Hold on, what? Yeah, at start, and then the current period's cost. Right. Okay, now the beginning working process was carried in the accounting records at a cost of 183.4. So we have 183,400 here. Again, there's no breakdown that they gave us here, so we have no clue about that. All right. You shouldn't only put 0. You should actually just kind of put a dash, I guess, or just leave it blank. But yeah, for now, I'll just put 0 for now. Actually, hold on. Yeah. And the current period's cost, so you had 162 with respect to, no, sorry. Yeah, materials. Direct materials use 162. And conversion was 394,450, right? So now, to get the total here, we're just going to add those two together, right? And then we're going to add going down. Right, so there's this one, and this one too. I'm going to put a little line on top of that. Right, so these are the costs to be accounted for. So costs to be accounted for. And then I'm going to do the next step one time. And then I'll ask if you guys are good. Okay? Cost to be accounted for. All right, cool. So I'm going to maximize this. Huh? What? Cool. I'll send a pic in the chat. So hold on. What? Oh, okay, cool. All right, so this is the new stuff here. Right, and I'm just gonna copy and paste that. Hold on, why is that in that format there? That's strange. Okay, that's weird. All right, right, and I'm gonna do the cost per equivalent unit one time. All right, so this next step here is where we calculate the cost per equivalent unit. Right, see, step 4, calculating cost per equivalent unit. So all we do is we literally, divide by the equivalent units. Right, so that was the 36,000 here, and the 32. What? Did I skip a line or something? Hold on. No, everything was the same. There was one extra line. Yeah, there was an extra, but how? I didn't put that there. So I was, oh yeah, I see it now. Okay, cool, small thing. Hold on, one second. Right. Here, right. And all we do now is we divide, right? So we're gonna take that, divide by that, and call it George. Right, so those there are the costs per equivalent unit. Right, so I'll highlight that. Right. So those stand out. Right. Okay. Right. So now, as I'm sending the pic for these two set, for this last one here, just give me a G if you're good with, well, I guess the whole piece down here. Please and thanks. All right. Yeah, that's a little too bright. Yeah, that should be fine. Right. Oh, okay. Everybody? What? All right. Let's see. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What? All right. Okay. And now we do the last part. Hold on. Cool. Put that back there. And let's just copy and paste these things here. Okay, so now we're going for goal. All right, zoom in clearly. All right, so what we do now is the cost assignment. Aha, oh, here's Jonica. Hey, Jonica, morning, how you doing? All right, yeah, so you come kind of in time. So we're doing the FIFO method of process costing. The major difference is that we have to split apart and show the work in process that starts separately, right? And we also do have the costs, the breakdown of the cost for it. So you kind of come in time for the last part, right, which is the cost assignment, right? So hold on, let me just see what was going on here. Why is that? Oh, okay, cool, right. Right, so we're gonna do the cost assignment. So this is, I have dollars per equivalent unit, and then, I think I have the cap still on there, yeah. Right, and then of course the is there. Okay, so for the work-in process at start, right, we have the following, right? So it's going to be, right, what I'm going to put here is the entire amount. Actually, no, I shouldn't put it there. I'll put it there. Yeah, zip, and then, okay, right. Okay, cool. Actually, no, if I do that, it will kind of seem out of sync with everything else. Okay. But then you see, this is materials, and what I have there is not just materials. Okay, I'm going to put this piece here. All right. Now, again, for the work-in process at start, no materials work was done on it in the current period because all the materials work was done in the previous period. For the conversion, right, so the cost per equivalent unit for conversion is $12.25. All right. And the equivalent units for conversion was 4,200. And let me just, yeah, so all we're doing is we're taking this and multiplying it, okay, this, and multiplying it by that, right? 51,450, put a little double lines there, and we're going to put that going across here. And then we're going to add that together to get 234,850, all right? So again, that was the working process at start. So this, here, sorry. So that, put that one in a kind of orange, right? Okay, now we have the units started and completed, right? So here, this is where we're going to take, right, so the 450, so that's 450 is the cost per equivalent unit for direct materials, and we have 26,000 for equivalent units for materials for the units started and completed. And what we're going to do there is just simply multiply that, right? And then again, so hold on, yeah. So 1225 was the cost, and it's the same 26, and same thing. We're going to multiply and get 318,500, and now we're going to add going across, right? So like I said, the little kind of anomalous thing was that we have this kind of random cost floating, but we have it there because it's not materials costs, and that's why I put it last year. I don't know why I put it there last year, right? So I put it here because it's specific to the working process at start. It's not assigned to anything else, all right? And then the last batch, hold on, can I go to 180? Yeah, right, so the last batch is the working process at end. Oh, yes, carry on. Junica, this is process costing, the FIFO version. Sorry, I'm now seeing your question. All right, oh, let me tell Carrie Ann, good morning, Carrie Ann, how you doing? Good to have you. Oh, sorry, Mom, just give me 1 second, Mom calling. Hey, Mom, morning. Sure, yeah. Yes, thanks. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, no problems. Yeah. Right. Yeah, guys, sorry. Yeah. I'm just looking at some logistics with the lunch. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So morning, Carrie Ann, morning, Jonica. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jonica, it's process costing. So the same topic from last week, but another method of within the same topic. We did weighted average last week, and this week is the FIFO, first in, first out method, right? Okay, right. So same thing here. So the cost per equivalent units for materials is 450. For the working process at end, however, the equivalent units was 10,000. And again, we're just going to multiply 450 by 10, which is 45. And for here, the same thing. So it's 1225, and that's the cost per equivalent unit for conversion. And the working process at end had 2,000 equivalent units worth of work done. 12.5 by 2,000 is 25, 24.5? Oh yeah, it's a quarter. Wow, oh yeah. I thought it was 12.5 for a second there. And then all we're going to do is just add those two items going across and get 69.5. And all we do now is we add up this one, and this one. And guess what we get, right? This is total costs accounted for. So this and this are accounted for. Right. So let me actually just zoom out of here for a little bit. 160. Yeah. All right. Cool. Actually, yeah. You know what I'll do? I'll send that piece. I'll send that piece by itself. Well, those two bits. So you can connect it to the previous piece, and then I'll send the whole process cost and worksheet together. All right. Cool. So now let's. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you see, 100%. It can fit. Just that it is a little small. This is better. This might be a little better. I'll zoom back in if anybody take anything down. Right, so that is the FIFO, first in, first out method of process costing. As you can see, the major difference and the most significant difference between this and the weighted average is the treatment, and I guess the accounting for the work in process that start with respect to equivalent units and for the costs, right? So you can probably see why I said when I realized that the weighted average cost method was simpler and the FIFO, I started to like that one better. But the FIFO was the one I learned first, and I'm more accustomed. Well, not more, but yeah, I was more accustomed now. But you get a hang of it as you go along. Okay, cool. All right. So what I'm asking now specifically is if you are good with the last step, as in how I did, just kindly give me a quick G in the chat. Right? If you're good with that, give me a G in the chat. If you need me to re-explain, give me an R. All right. All right, thank you. Okay, and then what we'll do, so we have about 50 minutes left, so I think we could get through 2, maybe 3 questions, right? I see an HRS, Venice, and a 2019 question. So I'll pull those up. I'll send pictures in the chat if anything. You may already have the 2019 question in the past paper question file, and then the other 2 HRS and Venice, you'll probably have that in the, other PDF I would have sent. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, right. So just to double check the rule, they're not seeing Amara, Naomi, Shekinah, and Tony. Okay, cool. No problems. Well, hopefully they get a chance to watch the replay and they follow along when they can. 1st of February, boy. Right, February, March, April. So February is 28. March is 31. April is 30. So that's about 90 days to the 1st of May. Yeah. So yeah, we within less than 100 days until exams. So yeah, don't panic. We still have about 90 days. So we have plenty you can do in that time. All right. So we gotta prioritize and execute, relentlessly execute. All right, some days will be good, some days will not be as good, some days might be great. Right? Okay, so with that now, like I said, the question I'm seeing is HRS. So HRS seems to be the very next question, and I'm seeing it kind of split there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Sorry, one second, I'm going to check and see. Yeah. Okay, right, this one. Yeah, so there'll be a little gray line across the middle of the question as just separated for the paid split, so don't worry about that too much. Okay, cool. Right, so this one, that's, no, let's crop out the top. Okay, so I think, yeah, apart from the non-alignment of the bullet points, I think we should be fine. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is take a read through the question, and then we are going to do the question. You all are going to do it piece by piece, all right? If you think you want to tackle the whole thing in one go, by all means, do your thing, all right? Okay, so we take a read. Sorry, one sec. Yeah. So HRS Assembly Incorporated operates a FIFO process costing system, right? All materials are entered in production at the beginning of the process. So we know with respect to materials, all materials work is 100% done once production is started. Okay, next we have, right, conversion costs are incurred evenly throughout manufacturing. So what that means is that as you go on through manufacturing, you incur the conversion costs, direct labor and overhead are incurred evenly or uniformly, right? And the following data pertain to November. So work in process at the start of November. So 11/1 is the start of November. 70% complete, and the cost is 81.5. Okay, so we know 70% complete is specific to conversion costs because we know it's 100% complete with respect to materials. We just said that, right? Now, if it's 70% complete with respect to conversion, the percentage that needs to be done in the current period to make it complete is 30%. So it's very similar to the previous question in that respect. Now, we started 70,000 units into production, right? So we had 20,000 at start. We brought forward. We started at 70 more, so it's 20 and 70 is 90. And then the total units completed is 85. So total units completed is 85, and work in process at N is 5,000. So 85 and 5 will give us back 90. But remember, we have to split this 85 into the work in process at start and then the unit started and completed. So that's an easy split, right? If in this 85 you have to have this 20, then all you have to do is find the difference, 85 minus 20, and you'll find that new line, the number of units started and completed, right? And then you have your current period's cost, direct materials consumed, 140, conversion cost, 240.5. All right, then you have 60% complete. Okay. All right, so we're doing this piece by piece. All right, so actually let me push that to the top there. All right, cool. All right, so I think that's everything we need in a nutshell. So I'll pull up my thing down here as well. I'll size it up. Right. Okay, cool. Right, okay, good. I deleted, lovely. All right, so process costing FIFO practice, right. All right, cool. So what's the name of the question again? HRS Assembly, right? So you're heading up HRS Assembly production cost report. Don't worry about it. You can put for the month of November, right? Don't worry about the year. You can put 2024, whatever, don't matter. They didn't give us a year, so we don't have to worry about it. All right, cool. No, I'm not ready to start. I just saying, all right, cool. Don't worry, don't panic. All right, so HRS Assembly. So again, you can process cost in a worksheet or production cost report, whatever they call it in the question, use back that same phrasing, right? Oh, okay, cool. Right. I was just answering apparently. But yeah, I want to put up at least the first section, which is the physical units, right? So work in process at start. You can even put like a date. Yeah, so they have 11, they have month and then day. So right, so yeah. At start could work. Ooh, sorry, hold on, sorry, my bad. Wait, just now. Let me just say something real quick. My apologies. Somehow I'm not getting this particular notification. Sorry. Right, work in process as that 20,000 units. Units started into production. Right, 70,000. So we have 90,000 units to be accounted for. Nice. And again, we'll do, right, so units. Right, so we can process at start, right? Units started and completed, and work in process at end. Right. So we can process at end. It told us down here, 5,000. Right, and then units accounted for. Again, well, it has to be the 90. Right, now ideally you should actually add up this stuff. You should work out what this item is, right? So like I was saying, total units completed is 85, and we know the 20,000 units at start had to be part of that. So if you do 85 minus 20, you're gonna get 65, right? And if you add up all three, you'll get that. And again, if you did 20 plus 5, which is 25, and minus that from 90, you get 65, right? So you have different ways you could work out that particular figure. Okay, can I just get a quick G in the chat if you guys are good with that particular weekend? Right, and I'll start work. I'll give 2 minutes again for the equivalent unit stuff. All right, and of course, if anybody needs me to re-explain, give me an R. It's not a problem. All right. Sorry, I just took a look at the Okay, cool. I'm just gonna head up my stuff here, but okay, so equivalent units, materials, sorry, my bad, and conversion. All right. Yeah, thanks, Kami. I appreciate it. Moto. Okay, cool. Right. So let's get into the equivalent units calculation, shall we? Right. So we can process that start. So again, if you want to start easy, go to the completed, right? So we know completed means 100%, right? With respect to materials and conversion, all right? 100% there as well, right? And of course, all we do is we multiply this by the art. Lock that. Hold on, did I put double? No, okay, right. For work in process at N, that's the next easiest one, right? Again, it's 100% complete with respect to materials because they told us all materials are added at the start of the process. But they tell us, hey, it's 60% complete with respect to conversion, all right? So 60% minus 5, right? Now, with the work in process at start, so, I mean, technically speaking, it is easy once you wrap your mind around the basic assumption and acknowledge that it is different from what we were doing before, right? So all materials work has been done on the work in process at start in a previous period, and therefore 0% of the work has been done currently in the current period, right? So 20,000 by 0%, of course, is just going to give us 0. Hold on, what? Yep. And then it came in 70% complete, which means we only need 30% of the work to be done for it to be complete this round. In this period, sorry, right? 30% of 20 is 6. Okay, so we're going to add those two together. So we have 70,000 equivalent units for materials and 74,000 equivalent units for conversion. Sorry, okay. So can I just get a quick G in the chat if you guys are good with that? Right, if you need me to re-explain, that's not a problem. Just give me an R. Right, I see Keisha have a hand. Yeah, Keisha, talk to me. What's up? How can I help?
Where is the conversion part? The work in process at end? If it was 60% completed, it won't be 40% that we looking for.
Right. So in the current period, the work in process at end for the current period, sorry, right, is 60% complete, which means in the current period we've done 60% of the work. And in the following period, when we're sending it to be completed, in the following period, that's when the 40% will be done, right? The subtraction you're doing there with the how you got the 40%, that's what has to happen for the work in process at start, because that particular batch that was started in a previous period and had, in this case, 70% of its work done. So when it comes forward to the current period, when we are doing work, it'll only require 30% in the current period to be completed. But as beginning work in process at start, right? The ending work in process was started in the current period, and the 60% refers to work done in the current period. I hope that helps. Let me know. All right, cool. All right, so I'll give you guys a few minutes to start with the costs. All right, because that's the next thing you need to do. I'm sorry. All right, so let's bold that. Right, so of course we know we have two sections. We have work in process at start. Why is this bold? Right, and then the current period's costs. Right, so I'll hold it up there so you guys can plug in the figures. right? And I'll give us the costs to be accounted for. Oh no, why is that a percentage now? No, 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 no. Right. Cool. Yeah, something. Did I not skip a line? I did. I skipped a line. I put cost there. Yeah, I don't know. Something went wrong with the formatting, but I don't know. It's not a big deal. Right. Okay, so the costs with the beginning working process 81.5. Yeah, I think it's a bit out of alignment there. Right. And the current period's cost will be the sum of the materials and the conversion. Right. The materials cost for the current period is 140,000 and the conversion cost is 240,500. Right. Let me just sneeze. Sorry. Yeah. Right. And now we also add as well like that. Cool. And all we do now is we divide, sorry, my bad, by the equivalent units to get the cost, right, to get the cost per equivalent unit. So cost per equivalent unit. Right, and that information would be across here. It wouldn't be here. Right, so you pull in the 70 and the 74 here and here, and you're dividing going down to get these figures here. Right, so again, I'll give you a couple minutes to do that, and then we will go to the last section. We should be able to get through one more question after this. That would probably be Venice. So let's put those in. Right, so for the materials, right, so that's 70 there. And then 74. And then again, all we do is we divide. Sorry, one sec. No, be yourself. Right. 2 and 3.25. Yeah, okay, cool. That looks good. All right, okay. Lovely. Okay. So can I just get a quick G from the chat, right? My Google Meet people, if you guys are good with what we have for that section down there. Right? If you're good with that, give me a G in the chat. If you need me to re-explain any particular aspect, that's not a problem. Give me an R. Ooh, right. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. Okay, 9 out of 13. Okay, so the next 4 will let me know. Hopefully you have your questions you go and ask. You can always message me directly on WhatsApp. There's not a problem. Eh? And if you do any work, send me a pick of your work and that kind of stuff, right? Right. Okay, cool. So now the last batch we're doing, the last part is the cost assignment. So cost assignment. Right, so we're going to put a little dollar sign there. Okay, so right, I'm going to scroll down a bit so we could fit all. So we have the work in process at start. Right, we have the unit started and completed. So units started and completed. And work in process at end. Right, so I'll hold it there. Right, so you guys know, like we saw any example, sorry, that the figure that goes here is just pulled straight from there, right? So I'm gonna give it that one, right? So don't forget what we do now is we're using these spaces across here, or however you lay it out, right? Based on what you may have learned in school, right? And you are assigning the cost for materials and conversion, right, to the equivalent units in each of these batches here. So you'll only have a conversion batch for work in process at start. So I'll kind of gray out this little piece here, right? Okay, so cool. I'll give you a few minutes, sort that out. We'll correct it and then move on. I think we could get Venice done before today is up. We'll move a little faster. I'll try and focus a little more. I got a bit distracted with a couple of messages coming. Right. Let me see. What is thou asking? Right. Okay, cool. We'll check. Oh, I'm gonna miss it. All right. Yeah, true. I'll put in the first part here, right? So work in process at start for the conversion, right? So we need, what's the cost per unit? So it's 325 per unit. All right, hold on. Is it down here instead? Why is it there? Okay, hold on. I know what I want to do then. So let's put it equal to this. Right, delete that, and then the equivalent units for conversion for work in process as start is this one here. Yeah, okay, and then we're just going to multiply, right? That by this. That is this item here, and then we're just going to add going down, right? So that should be what it's looking like thus far. Right? You don't actually have to have this subtotal here. You could. I like to see it, but it's not 100% necessary. Okay, let's put that in. Let's see. Sorry, right, okay, so the cost per equivalent unit for materials is that. Right, and the, right, so 65, okay, cool. So we're gonna multiply 2 by 65, right, 130, right, and again it's 325 here as well. And we're going to multiply that by the same 65. So let's just copy and paste that across here as well. And then here now would simply be the sum of these two things. This plus that. Right, 341, 250. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you a minute again to finish it off, and then we'll go on to one more question for the day. Right, next week we actually have a bit of a, it's still this topic, but it's something called spoilage, which again I have to cross check to make sure it is still on the syllabus. Because when it came, I don't think it was on the syllabus, but I could be wrong. It came in 2014, and everybody was like, "What is this?" And I was convinced I'd never even seen that, and how they could do this. And then there was a book laying around from a UE days, a cost accounting book, and I opened it, and there was a couple of folder pages stuck inside. And it was stuck inside on the process costing chapter on the spoilage subsection, and I had in my handwriting solutions to multiple questions written out. So I was like, oh, so apparently I did do it. And it's not hard. It's just more of something. It's more of the topic that to me is not necessary at this stage. It's not bad. I don't dislike it. I just think that they have to kind of weigh the bits and pieces in the context of the rest of the entire syllabus. You can't over-index or overload any one particular topic. But again, I guess it's somewhat of a subjective process because humans are the heart of it. Anyhow, all right, let's finish up here real quick. Right, okay, cool. So it's the same two. Right, so same two. Okay, I'll check it just now, right? And we are pulling 5,000, right? Because it's work in process at end, right? Just gonna copy and paste that just to make things a bit easier, right? 325, and then this would be 3,000. What? Oh, wow. Wow. I don't know how that. Right. I'm just going to copy and paste this across here. And then we're going to add up 1, 2, 3 items and get 462. And that is costs accounted for. Oh. Okay. Cool. Let's zoom out so you can see the whole thing, and I'll send a pic in the chart of everything, right? As it appears on the screen. Yeah. Oh, I got a pic. Yeah, looking good. No, not you. You could go away. This one. Hold on. Right. Send the picture quick. Yeah, I don't know if we'll have enough time to do an entire next question. But we could try. Okay, can I get a G in the chat very quickly if you guys are good with the solution as shown? All right, specifically the last section, because you guys gave me G's for everything else, right? So if there's anything about that last section you need me to re-explain, give me an R. Okay, cool. Oh, that's what that was. Like, what is that? Okay, guys. So one more, and then we'll call it a day, right? So even if you go a little past 12, I'm okay with that. If you guys have to go, it's not a problem. It's not Venice. Where's Venice? Tallahasse, consumer. Hold on. What was the next question? Oh no, wait. That was it. Oh, that's why I stopped last year. Oh. Okay. Hold on. This says Venice, right? Where is Venice? Consumer process costing. Oh, I wonder if it's across here, boy. No, it's not. It's not any possible either. All right, cool. You know, Tallahasse consumer. Tallahasse is an easy one because everything fits on one page. Right. Okay. Finished goods. Yeah, we won't need that part. Okay, cool. All right, let's try Tallahasse, shall we? I'm not sure where Venice went. All right, so wherever we get to, it'll be fine. Again, we're gonna try to complete the whole thing. Right, Talahasse, FIFO process costing system. All materials introduced at the start of the process. Conversion costs incurred uniformly throughout the manufacturing. Right. Work in process. Right, balance at the start of May, 3,600, 1/3. That's 1/3 complete. So it's fractions now, 1/3 complete. Cost 10,001. Production started during May, 12,000. Okay. May manufacturing cost 27, materials conversion 18,560. May 31st balance is 4,000, 30% complete. Okay, all right. So here what? I could give you all the full 10 minutes. What I will do, I'll copy and paste my entire sheet and just fill in the blanks, fill in the information, and let the sheet auto-complete. So it wouldn't take me as long. So I wouldn't have to type over a whole set of stuff, right? So I could give you the full 10 minutes. If you'll need 15, I could give you 15 because I could be here till a little after 12. It's not a problem. I have to wait around because I have another teacher coming to do the Unit 1 class this afternoon in person, right? So I sort of kind of stay and set them up, and then I'll be on my way. One sec. It's nice and bright. Sounds like it was in the questions PDF. Oh, I didn't check my YouTube as well. Oh, please don't delete the live, London. Oh, they're not ever really deleted. I usually just shift them across to unlisted. You can always reach out to me on social media if you need help or if you need like solutions or explanations. Instagram, I see messages there very, very frequently. TikTok, they don't pop up as much. Email is always the most direct. WhatsApp if you have the number. But yeah, email or IG. Talahasse. Oh, I was looking for the other PDF. Let me find out. Let me see where's Venice, boy. Process costing. For example, from text spoilage questions, exercises. Yeah, I guess I'll check this one. Are you gonna open? Oh no, what's going on with this? Balo, Sector Balo, Acutech, Ozark, boy. Allied, Forest Sunshine, Motorhomes, Del Mar, Pet Set, Fitting. Why does it have an asterisk? Oh, those are probably weighted average. But they don't say. Oh, anyway, that's not what I'm looking for. Right, we did Bozeman, we did HRS just now. Consumer Health, Tallahassee. But that's the end of this. So where's Venice? Where get Venice from then? Imagine from somewhere. Yeah, no. Check the older file, see if you're there. I definitely have to review spoilage this week before I tackle you over it. Oh, I have to send that for Michigan. Kingstown, St. Michael, Belmopan boy. Taylor was the offending party. And this one is the 2019 question, which was, like we said, nobody liked it. Right, costs assigned. What? You should do the walkway. Oh, it's the first set of sections. Okay, cool. Let me see. Right, 36 and 12 is 15.6 to account for. Right, and 7, 5 and 4, 2 is 11, 7. So if it's 15.6 and 11, 7. If it was 11, 6 started just before, so 3, 9, yeah? Yeah, I think it's 3009 for the whatchamacallit, unit started and completed. Yeah, because 3006 plus 12,000 is 15,006. If you do 15.6 minus the 4, you get 11.6. Yeah, and 11.6. Because 8 and 3 is 11, 11 and 4. Yeah, no, okay, sorry, it's 8, it's 8. Wow, what did I do? What did I do? 42. Oh no. Oh, I was. You know what? I know what happened. Right. Let me check it again. Right. 36. Right. That's 15.6 minus 11. So yeah, 8,000. 8,000 is correct. Sorry, I was reading wrong. Sorry, my mom called again. Mom? I got yesterday in Massey Cascade or St. Anne's. I got the unit, the stage 2. I haven't been able to find stage 3. Are you seeing stage 3 anyway? The 3? Uh-huh. Where is it now? Really? Really? Okay. How much is it? Okay. Yeah. All right. Yes, thanks. You can make a one for me. Yeah. 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 One is fine. Thank you. Oh. Okay. Right. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. I went and I checked, but I didn't see that. Well, they must have put it in after I went. I don't know. Okay, cool. Yeah, he told me yesterday. Okay. All right. So we just at 12. So like I said, I know most of you might not have been finished this statement thus far. So I could give you an extra few minutes, right? If anybody has to leave like now because they have an next lessons to go to or whatever the reason is, that's cool. You could go ahead. You could always check back the last 5 minutes of the replay, or just check the picture in the chat, right? If you can hang around for the next 5 minutes, then that's cool, right? So I could give you like 3 or 4 minutes again. Then, like I said, I'll just copy and paste my format and change the figures, and then everything should pop up. And I'll send a picture as well. All right, seeing some pics coming through. Good job. Good job on the pics, by the way. I appreciate it. Couldn't download. Why? Okay, no, I got it. Right. Yes, yes. Good, 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 good. Right. 8, 8, right, and then 4, 4. Yeah, that's 12, 2 and 4, right. Right, so 12,000 for materials for equivalent units and 11,600 for conversion. Good, good, good. Very good. You guys doing well. Hello? Hello? Oh, Keisha, you meant to call me? Hello? Oh, no, I guess not. Oh, yeah, like you were sending the pic and it's accident. Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, I figure so. All right, guys. Okay, let me put that to the top. Put this below. And I'm gonna starting here, right? Okay. Give me one sec, sorry. Who is this? What is the name? Talahasse. Talahasse. Talahasse, go. Right, so we can process at start. It's 3,600 units. Production started was 12,000, right? So we have 15,006 to account for. So work in process at start is 3.6. Work in process at end is 4,000. So therefore, this is equal to this minus this minus this. Right, so 8. Right, okay, at 8%. So we need 2/3. Oh no, hold on, there's not. Okay, nope, that doesn't make sense either. 2/3. 167%. Right, so what was it? Okay. Oh, okay, I know what to do. Right. Yeah. And then 30% complete, so that's 30% down. Right, cool. Sorry. What? Okay, cool, no problems. All right, so we have that. Right, now the costs. Where are the costs? Right, so 10,001. Current periods cost, right? So we had to change that to 27,000 and then 18,560. Okay, cool. Right, so we have about 2.25, which is 27 divided by 12, 27, yeah. And then 18,560, okay, cool, right. Right, so the 10,000 was pulled and it's 1.6 by 2,400, 38 plus 39, right? Okay, cool. Right. Remember what I said, right? With Excel, if you plot it correctly, you could actually just plug in a couple of things and it does the work for you. All right. Okay. All right. So folks, sorry to have to cut and run, but yeah, I have to cut and run. So what I'll do is I'll send a picture in the chat for you. Now we meet next week. Next week is the 8th of February, right? The day we have to talk about would be the 27th. No, the 1st of March. But that's March. We will talk about March and March because that is the Saturday before Carnival in Trinidad. Now, I know with the kids in Form 6 in Trinidad, some of them like to fet. I liked to. Right now, I don't. Not that I don't like to. I'm just not fetting because I have 2 young kids. And yeah, I good. I don't want to fet right now. So normally I would not have had class that morning, but I probably will. But we will discuss that near to that time. We'll take a poll. Whoever's coming, we'll do it. So because I don't want people to miss stuff. But I mean, the recording is always there. So even if I can't have class, let's say something crops up, what I'll do is I'll do like I did for the first day in the year. I'll do a recording the day before and send it for you all. But I do intend to have class that day unless something crops up. Anyhow, ladies and gents, it was nice to see you all this morning. If anybody has any questions they didn't get to ask during class, please feel free to message me. It's not a problem. And have a good weekend. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
All right, guys. Later.